Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus. These are the big three when it comes to the streaming platforms. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of people subscribe to these big streaming services, so they have a catalogue to delve into. And what is the one thing that catalogue is missing? The UFC. Over here in the UK, we require either TNT Sports or Discovery Plus in order to watch the UFC. And if you're over in America, well then you need ESPN. And in the last few years, it has been proven that the big streaming platforms would love to get a piece of the pie when it comes to the sports scene. Prime Video for the last 6 years has shown Premier League football up until recently, which it has now ended. But then we have Netflix, which has just required the WWE in a massive deal. But recently there has also been a massive sporting event, which was Mike Tyson taking on Jake Paul, the big boxing fight which took place on Netflix. And in terms of viewer count, it was a massive success. But in terms of stream quality, well, that's a different story. And with me being a massive fan of the UFC and MMA, and also a fan of the WWE and boxing, I thought it would be a great idea if the UFC also went on to a big 3 streaming platform. Because in my opinion, there'll be so many benefits if this were to happen. First of all, there's just so many people subscribe to these streaming platforms. Like I said, hundreds upon hundreds of millions of people are subscribed to streaming platforms. Like, I'm going to make the brave assumption that you're subscribed to one of the big 3 streaming platforms, if not one of them, maybe even all of them. These subscriber counts just go and show how easy it is to access these big 3 streaming platforms and prove that you can really watch it from anywhere in the world. And with that would bring new eyes to the sport of MMA and the organisation of the UFC. And of course that means more casuals, but let's be honest, we're all casuals at some point. Another benefit is that it would be a great place to have the entire UFC library. And when I say UFC library, you should know what I mean. Have every single UFC event what's ever taken place. Well, that's just like on demand and you can watch whenever, wherever, at the click of your fingers. I mean, we've seen this with the WWE and Netflix. They have a massive collection of a load of WWE events when it comes to Raw, the pay-per-views, SmackDown, NXT, a whole variety. They've got a massive collection. Problem with that is that Netflix, for whatever reason, haven't uploaded the entire collection, the entire WWE library, so that you can just access any event you want to. They've only put up like a limited library, which I think is really daft. I'm just hoping they change that soon, because why wouldn't you? But just think, how often have you just sorted out some food and you thought, you know what, I'll watch a bit of Prime Video or some Disney Plus or some Netflix just as I eat my food for like 15 minutes. Well, for you, UFC's libraries on there, you know, a 15-minute banger, stick it on, you know, watch 2 people try and just beat the shit out of each other whilst you enjoy your nice ham and cheese sandwich. I mean, technically you can still do that with the UFC Fight Pass, but come on. The Fight Pass is shit. And the other big benefit for me is the pricing. Now, currently over here in the UK, we get pay-per-views for free when it comes to the UFC. The only time we have to pay is for 2 a year. We had it recently with the last 2 pay-per-views of 2024. We had to pay 20 quid for. And that's just the deal that TNT and the UFC have, where they have to put on at least 2 pay-per-views. And again, it's 20 quid. But in America, well, you have to pay for every single pay-per-view, and it costs a fucking mortgage. And I don't know why the pricing is so drastically different in the UK compared to in America. In fact, the entire world, I'm pretty sure, probably has cheap pay-per-views, if they even have any pay-per-views. But America's just really get shafted when it comes to pay-per-views, and I have no clue why. The only thing I can really think of is maybe because in the UK we have to stay up until like 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it may be. So we're just like, yeah, we won't charge them. I don't know. I don't really understand it. But anyways, if you want to watch the early prelims for a UFC card in the UK, the only way you can do so is by subscribing to the UFC's Fight Pass. That is the only legal way of being able to watch the early prelims. So with the UFC Fight Pass, what does that offer to us lot in the UK? Well, you can watch the early prelims and you have the entire UFC library. But let's just look at how much the UFC Fight Pass costs compared to the big 3 streaming platforms. So we have the Fight Pass, which costs £6.99 per month, or if you want to buy it yearly, that will cost you £71.99. Then we have Netflix. The ad tier, where you get ads still, is £4.99, which is the cheapest option. We have the standard edition, which is £10.99, and the premium edition, which is £17.99. We then move on to Prime Video, where it's just £5.99 per month. And then you have Disney Plus, which with ads is £4.99, the standard £8.99, and the premium £12.99. And all this shows is that all three of the big streaming platforms, if you pick their cheapest price, it's cheaper than the Fight Pass. But it doesn't end there, because remember, in the UK, if you want to watch the UFC legally, you have to have TNT Sports or Discovery Plus. So let's go through the pricing of that now. So if you have Discovery Plus, it's £30.99 a month. If you have TNT on Sky Sports as a channel, it'll cost you £30 a month. And if you have just TNT on its own, it's 20 quid a month. So the minimum amount you could possibly pay in the UK to legally watch the UFC is £26.99 a month. And that is significantly a lot more than the streaming services cost. And let's just say that these streaming services did it so that you had to, I don't know, for the cheapest one gives you the early prelims, the next edition, like the standard edition, gives you like the prelims, and then let's say the premium edition gives you the pay-per-view. That would still work out cheaper than what I've just listed out for what it has been for the UK. And not only that, but TNT Sports and the Fight Pass only show other sports. Whereas these streaming platforms offer films, TV shows, starting to roll out other sports. And not only that, but you get extra benefits depending on which streaming platform you're using. I mean, the value of Amazon Prime alone, when you get a Prime Video and you sign up to them, is absolutely crazy when it comes to Amazon. You get next day delivery, you get no delivery fee, and this all comes a part of it, a part of your Prime Video subscription. And not only that, but you get a free Prime Twitch sub, which you know, you could maybe use on me. I don't know.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
I think it's safe to say you're getting a lot more benefits for a cheaper price with the streaming platforms. But now the question is, well, which streaming platform suits the UFC the most? I mean, Prime Video had a great reception from football fans over how good the coverage was. Netflix, on the other hand, hasn't received the same response, given that the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, well, the live stream was just broken, had many angry fans. I, for one, had a nice experience with Netflix in their live stream for Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, but there's a good portion of people who didn't and were left very angry. However, ever since their partnership with the WWE, I'm pretty sure it's been all smooth sailings. In Disney, well, from what I'm aware with Disney, they don't show any sporting events. Now, given the fact that the WWE and the UFC have both merged and are both under the TKO banner, I think it makes sense that they're both under the same streaming platform, which is Netflix. And not only that, but Netflix is simply the most popular streaming platform on the planet. And yes, it would be annoying seeing all these Netflix films, original films and TV shows plugged in the UFC and probably doing like some shitty sort of collab, but we're used to it anyway. The UFC does plenty of that sort of stuff, so it doesn't really change anything regardless. I do believe these streaming platforms, especially the big three, are going to be picking up more sports as they go along, so fuck it, why not see the UFC on either Netflix, Disney Plus or Prime Video? But guys, let me know in the comments, would you love to see the UFC on one of these big streaming platforms? Thank you for watching the video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.